I feel that we're back online now, and we're going to get started. So again, my name is Justin with ATI Connect, and we're going to get rolling with Ed from the FBI, and he's going to be walking us through ransomware and the state of cybercrime, things that are happening out there. And then after that, we're going to hear from Sam, and he's the product architect that will be showing us FireDragon, which is a great product that's going to be offered to or be open to your clientele. So Ed, feel free to take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ed. I appreciate it. Okay. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. And so what I'm going to do is, as promised, I want to take you through what an IDS can do to solve some of these problems. Obviously, the Bureau is not endorsing one software or another. This was informational, but I want to piggyback on some of the issues that he's raised and how FireDragon can help the small businesses, SMB market, to protect themselves from some of the issues that we've seen. FireDragon is a product of 3 years of R&D, and it is actually my brainchild. My name is Sam Alcoli, and I have been in the IT world for a better part of about 35 years, where I started with programming with punch cards and essentially moved my way up to the ranks in programming system design, and held various CIO positions with high-profile companies like Coca-Cola, Universal Pictures, Republic Pictures, Technicolor, and so forth. And in 1994, I started a company in the internet world, in the interactive world, and in 1998 it went public on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. And I hold a patent for networking type of data distribution. I worked in the cybersecurity industry for about 4 years, and I have worked with the FBI on some things that we cooperated with during my tenure at another employer. And I found out that this area is very, very complicated. It is difficult for the SMB market to get their arms around it, not just from an educational standpoint. A lot of us understand some of the basics that we need to know, but deep diving into the cybersecurity world is like going through a rabbit hole. So I decided to develop FireDragon for the average person, where to make things a lot easier for you and understandable, and a lot of the work is actually done behind the scenes of what an investigator can do. Essentially, FireDragon is an incident response in a box. It is developed with an IDS in the background and an IPS, an intrusion detection system, an intrusion prevention system. It can run in both modes. In IDS mode, it will simply warn you and minimize the false alert. In an IPS mode, it will actually block the traffic. So a lot of companies prefer to run in IDS mode because they want to be able to control what happens with those alerts. So with that in mind, let's get going. There's 2 modes to get into FireDragon. One is a regular user and one an admin. So we're going to go to a regular user, and we're going to see the dashboard that a regular user would, or the user would see. So this is the dashboard, and it's pretty, from here you can pretty much see and do anything throughout the whole system. Everything that you can do in the system, you can do here through the dashboard. As you can see, this is telling me how many alerts and what dates that they've happened, from high activity to low, so that you can establish patterns, and you're able to see what happened on this day that you've got 14 alerts as opposed to the normal pattern, if you will. This chart gives you the overall health of the system, and the way this is weighted is basically an algorithm that takes the entire threat level, certain threat levels, and then comes up with a ratio with what we've actually determined to be real threats, and that gives you the health of the system. So the count was 20 at this point in this particular test system. And here are the users that produce these threats. So user unknown, which is not on the system, somebody hooked into a Wi-Fi. We know the IP address though that user have. 19 threats for this particular user, and this user is 8 and 3 and so on. That's one way to look at the system. Another way to look at it is by ratio, who actually produced the highest level of threat? Not just the number of threat, but the highest level of threat. And over here you can see Joe N had 3 events, but yet his totaled at 65% on the ratio scale between 0 and 100, and he's actually the highest threat in this particular chart. So what do we need to do? So the first thing we'll do here is we'll go and see what kind of alerts that this individual have generated, and we can see that there is one download that happened. We can see there is some attack that came in from this IP, from an IP address, an external IP address. And we can also see that that attack happened twice within 2 minutes of each other. So that's why one of the reasons we flagged it, our algorithm determined the first one to be at 100%, and then each successive one is rated a little bit differently. But this is a correlation. So as an example, what could happen here is this individual could have visited a website and then downloaded a file like this so that you understand exactly how the events occurred. What do you do with this? So at this particular point is we can do a couple of things. We can click on here, not to execute it, but to simply go on the internet and do a search for it. And this in particular one here, we can find, now we understand how and where these things are and what it does and how to fix it. Or we can, the other thing we can do is we can go in here and take a look at this particular binary, because what we have done is sandboxed it, we executed it, and then we watched it do its thing. And what happened here is that it scored pretty high. We found some suspicious calls that it's making, like you see here, and we've also found a couple of very suspicious keys for boot that it would install into the system. Mutexes, if you want to know lateral movement, basically what we need to do here is just copy this and search the network to see if we find this mutex. If this mutex is present, that means that particular malware has been installed. And as you all know, a mutex is basically what happens is when you double click to install an app and then you try to do it again, it tells you it's already installed. That's how it knows. Behavior analysis, if we look at all of the files that it dropped onto the system, we can see some of the files that it dropped in here, and we can see all of the registry keys that it dropped on that particular host, okay, or that particular in the sandbox. So now we understand what to look for the infected host. We can look at all of the strings. We rip down the binary and look at certain strings, and then and we've already done that for you and given that to you in the IOCs. But another thing here you can see here is there appears to be a keyboard layout somewhere, so this could be a keylogger. So I've done all this basically from the dashboard. Another interesting I can do is now let's take a look at this guy's machine. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm real time. I am actually going into that machine because I have administrative access and to take a look and see what actually is going on. And I see here that no service packs have been applied. It's a Windows 7 professional. That user is the same user logged in, a registered user. So now we understand who's actually logged in. Active Directory thing displayed here will help an investigator, and one of the things that that is flash, that just flashed right in front of me, is that this last time that that password has been set is in May 7th of 2015, and it's set to no expire. So somebody must have gotten a hold of this, and this guy's a security manager. So now I've got a big problem. Okay, so now let's take a look and see if we have that binary is running, and I can do that by, again, having admin credentials, and I click on list all of the processes, and what I'm doing at this point, I'm using WMI with my administrative credentials to list the processes that are going on. If I see this process in here, I can go ahead and I can stop the process by giving it the process number. The other thing that I can do here is also look at the services that are running. Okay, so let's take a look at the services that are running in this particular machine. So doing the same thing here, because that could be a service, it could be an executable. So this is what we want to, part of the remediation that we might want to do is to look at some of these things. And if we do find it, then what we're able to do is not only stop the process, but also stop the service, okay? By, again, choosing service, type it in, and stop it. So that's the dashboard essentially, and it's really meant to give you the information right there in front of you and for you to be able to drill down. You can also drill down by host if you wanted to, or you can drill down by timeline for each particular day. If I click on any of these, for instance, it's going to give me the alerts for that particular day. At least it was supposed to. This is a beta system, so sorry about that, but in any event, so here is the host and user. Another thing I can do here is that I can expand and I can collapse, and this is the reporting system now. Now I can go in and request any particular timeline, something that may have been discovered, whenever this happens to be, and I can go and host analysis, user, and so on and so forth. So this is a good way to do and or type analysis, okay? One of the things I have is the reports that you've already seen. You have separate access to the report system. You also have access to the top 10 users and the top 10 events that has actually happened and how they have been scored. It gives you an overall system. And at the very end, it shows me the severities that I've gotten. So out of all of these alerts, okay, if we accumulate all of this, they become in somewhere around 40, 50,000, and there's about 40 of them that we've determined that were worth reporting. So that's really pretty much it. I can get reports in different formats, so I can look at by user, for instance. So it gives me the user. And I can look at different number of users that I want to look at per page, generate my report. Now, once I've done that, I can export this to Excel. I can then download this image, and then now I can open it up in Excel, put that together, and that would be my report, for example, if I needed to make a report to my manager or what have you. But here's all the information, and you can always, again, you can click on it and just drill down to be able to find out what's going on. So the beauty of this thing, as I have described earlier, is the fact that these are the raw alerts that we're getting, and they're just simply just foreign to read, and they have been essentially analyzed for you, and we've given you an overall health level or threat level, and we've shown you who the troubled people are, and you have very, very small amount of data for you to consume and be able to do something about it. So from this point, we also have some searches here that you can find an exploit, for instance, if you're running a PHP environment and you want to know if there are any exploits. We can go ahead and check those for you and give you CVE numbers as an example, and you can look at CVE numbers and be able to figure out what's going on. So in this particular case, there's a remote command execution exploit in this, so this is something that I might want to take a look at. any of the denial service exploits, I can see that how they happen, and I can walk through those, and I can actually do a search on the internet. So this is a whole trove of treasure of research for you to be able to do as to what's really going on or what's happening in the industry if you want to search for a particular exploit. If somebody comes up to you, or if you find a particular file or a malware on a stick and somebody gives it to you, we can always, or if you put it on a server, we can actually go in and find that particular, you can actually submit that to the sandbox. We just basically need to know who the user was and then just go ahead and submit that through the system. Once it's submitted, it's going to analyze it, as we've talked a little bit earlier, and then once it's analyzed, then we're going to give you the results. And then from that point forward, then you can determine what to do. So if I look at my job queue, I can see that I submitted this job. And this also happens automatically as well. So if somebody downloads a .exe file, it's a PDF, for example, with a .exe that's actually an executable, and we determine that it's bad, it's going to automatically submit it to the sandbox and flag it, and then you will get alert. Okay, and that's pretty much how FireDragon operates. The next really the other thing to do here is just to exploit the drill down into some of the reporting and the flexibility of the system. But here's your entire system right there. This is telling you everything that you need to know, the users you need to go talk to and educate, as Ed was pointing out earlier. And here is the number of accounts and the machines that you need to be actually looking at and the users that you need to be looking at, and so on. In graphic form as well as in report form where you can take action. So at this point, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer specific to FireDragon or any questions that is into the cybersecurity space, and I'll turn this over to Justin.
Thanks so much, Sam, and Ed as well. So, again, we wanted to collect feedback from managed IT service providers because this is a great product, and we want your input. We think it's a wonderful, solid product to show to your clients. We're coming out pretty strong in 2017 with our marketing and the awareness around this product. And our main goal is to just really keep small to mid-sized businesses safe.
One of the features, now that you mentioned that, Justin, that I did not actually cover, which is really, really important for not only you but your clients, is that FireDragon can be a centralized repository of information and give you this overall look or this overall health threat, but also if you are managing, let's say, 10 or 15 or 20 locations or businesses, if you will, that you're managing, we can put a sentry, what we call the FireDragon sentry, in each of the locations. It's a very, very small box, and essentially it does all of the traffic analysis and everything else, and then it communicates back to FireDragon, and so that you can see not only where the box is located, but also those remote locations as well.